All right, for this part of the tutorial, we are going to be looking at transitions. So the first thing that I want you to do is find a couple pieces of stock footage to download and use as practice for this. So my go-to is Pexels. Many of you are familiar with that. You can get stock video from wherever you like. You could also use your own video if you want. You may be using your own video in your creative project, but for this, it doesn't matter. You can just download a couple of things. So I see some horses there and I'm inspired by horses. So I'm going to go ahead and search that. Of course, I didn't type it in very well. I'm going to put that I want my orientation to be horizontal for our purposes today, but it doesn't really matter. And then go ahead and download a couple of videos to use as you practice transitions. That's what we're going to look at today. So after that, go ahead and launch After Effects, create a new project. I am going to go ahead and delete. This is still open from my awesome text. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And in here, I'm going to go to my project window up here. And I'm going to go ahead and import the videos that I have for today's purposes. So let's see here. I have a couple of videos that are of the horror genre. We've got a skull with candles and a zombie in the hallway and a scary hallway, a clown in a scary hallway. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to new composition. I'm going to call this transitions. You can call it whatever you want or don't name it. 1920 by 1080 usual suspects, frame rate of 24, and I'm going to make this a little longer at 10 seconds because I'm going to be working with 3 different pieces of video here to practice with transitions. So I'm going to bring those down and drop them. They are not fitting to scale, so I'm going to go ahead and hit my S key to change the scale of them one by one so that they're fitting onto that canvas window. Okay, I think they all might be too large. Let's see. Yep, they were all too big. So I'm just going to bring those down until they're all fitting over my canvas window. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and edit down the videos so that they are overlapping each other, but that I could see each one of them on the timeline. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. The first is that you can always hover over the end of a video asset in After Effects and you can drag it. So I'll start by doing that. So I want this one to kind of be in the middle. Now, I can't do that at the end here. So the other thing that I could do is if you use your bracket keys that are to the right of your P key, if you have that layer selected, you can use that bracket key and it's going to end the video there right where you ask it to. Although it did bring this all the way up to the front, so I'm not sure. But I can also just grab it and drag it from the back now. The other thing that you can do, and I'm sure that there's a really, straightforward and clean way to do this, but I don't really do a lot of editing per se. This isn't really editing, but I don't work with multiple clips very often in After Effects. Anyways, so that's okay. There's a couple of different ways to get to what it is that you're trying to do. And then the other thing you want to make sure is that you're at the part of the video that you're interested in having on here. Oh, this skull video is really long. So you can always just click on and drag them. That's really long. So with this selected, I'm going to go ahead and hit my hard bracket over here. Well, maybe what that's doing is just bringing me to the end of the video. Starting from there. I need to look into that. I think I might get a bad grade for how to cut and edit. Let me see. I bet there's something under layer up here. So let me go under layer, maybe under edit. Looks like I can probably cut. Let's try that. Command X. Nope, it just makes it disappear. All right, cut is just cutting, like copy and paste. Yeah, I think most of the time for me, I already have the clips edited down to whatever I'm gonna do. I don't really like to have big video clips in After Effects that have a lot more footage than I really want to work with in a given project. So, I would generally suggest somebody have them edited down before they bring them into After Effects. But for what we're doing today, this is just fine. And, making them shorter on either side is just fine for today. So you do want to make sure that there's a little bit of overlap between all the videos because we're going to be applying some transitions there. So I think I'm happy with my footage. I've got candles around a skull. I've got a crazy clown running down the hallway. And then I have the same hallway, but with zombies instead. Looks like it was a same day shoot for that stock footage there. And so what you can do is you can, just like we did with the text, you can go to Browse Presets. I already have Bridge open, so I'm just going to pop that up. Here we've got presets, and then we've got transition, dissolves, movement, and wipes in here. So you do have some presets available in here. There isn't a preview for every single one of these. So these, you would have to just apply them and kind of look at them, but you can kind of get an idea of some of the basic ones if you go through here. So those are dissolves. Go ahead and go into movement and see what's going on in there. Now, the thing is that we are talking about transitions right now, but I'm actually not the biggest fan of transitions in the sense that they are used and abused a lot of times, like this transition, completely, generally I would say they're completely unnecessary. Most of the time, you're going to be fine with just a standard cut or like a dissolve to black, dip to black, dip to white, something like that. Sometimes there's a reason to do a transition, that has a little bit more animation to it. But I just say use them wisely. There's a couple of slick things that you can do with masks that we're going to go over that I think work for certain types of content. But anyway, so let's go ahead and apply a preset transition and see what's going on there and what that's all about. So I'm going to go to the end of my skull video here, and I'm going to go ahead and go into transitions. Let's choose wipes, and let's see what clamshell is all about. That sounds really cheesy. So let me just back my canvas out a little bit. Can I do 75% here? Oh no, it doesn't have 75%. Okay. So you can see here the keyframes aren't quite sitting at the end of my video. Maybe that's okay. So let's look at it and see. Oh, maybe it already transitioned because my skull disappeared. Here we go. Here's what we're dealing with here. Oh, that's strange. Let me take this down to a quarter and see if it'll give me a better visual here of what's going on. So it looks like it just wiped out my skull video altogether. And I guess that's just what happens sometimes when you use things that you've never used before in a tutorial. So I'm gonna delete this one because it's looks like it's a little bit more complicated than I was hoping for. And so you can see that I'm just deleting. I could Command Z, or I'm just deleting all the effect controls off of here. It's just the preset is a set of effect controls. I'm just going to get rid of those, and let's try something else. Oh, the iris. Yes, the iris is in the family of the cheesiest transitions. So let's see. We've got the star transition here, which might work for certain types of media. I think for things like social media, this type of transition might work a little bit better. It does seem like it's sort of going backwards, though. I'm confused by that. And then it's black again at the beginning. It's very strange. It should be revealing the clown, unless what I need to do is have the transition on the clown layer instead. Let's see if that's what I need to do. So let's put it on the clown layer. That's not really working right either. Let's see. Maybe none of these are really working out. In my mind, I'm remembering it needs to go on the top layer. We'll just try Venetian blinds. Those are really straightforward and they're really cheesy. So if we get the Venetian blinds going, so I'm not really sure. It looks like the two keyframes are for transition completion, but before that, oh, I'm not sure. Let's see if I can drag this video out a little longer. Is it because the video's ending before? Maybe it's my keyframe needs to be all the way. Oh, so this is strange. It's at 100% completion before this keyframe. So I suppose nothing would show. So I almost wonder if these are backwards. So if I take this keyframe and switch these around, let's see what we get. Oh, that's strange. So sometimes you really have to just kind of play with these. So like with these, remember this was the keyframe in front. I just swapped them around and now it seems to be transitioning okay. That's probably what was going on with the other ones as well. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna go down to my middle video, which is the clown in the hallway. And then if I go to, let me choose the iris star again. And I wonder if it's just because they're set to be at the beginning. I'm not really sure. So let's see. If I go under effects, it looks like the keyframe is sitting. I'm going to just toggle down until I get there. So I'm just going to see what happens if I take this keyframe and I drag it and I reverse these two. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyways, these are presets. Use them sparingly. They do exist. I'm just gonna go ahead and take these off. So anyways, they exist. They are there. But we're gonna go over a couple of other things that you can do to make some cool transitions that don't involve these presets. And hopefully you'll find some cool stuff in there. And these we're gonna key, they're not presets. They're effects, but they're not presets. So we're going to be doing all the animation on those. All right, so we will continue that in the next video.